Travis, I love the new look. To me,
Thank you.
it's new.
Well, yeah. It's
Nice.
a haircut and a shave. Man, most people always knew. I only showed off this in one other group.
Cool. I also already am enjoying your energy tonight.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Enjoy my energy. I didn't speak. What is it? It's supposed to be a sensing or feeling usually.
Well, yes. Yeah. It's
My friend does sense energy, although my friend can also sense the ET energy that comes through me when I practice with him.
sure. Yeah.
Well,
Welcome,
he's
Travis. How are you doing?
good.
Excellent. We
Wonderful.
had a little bit of conversation here in the last few days, so I know that you have quite quite to tell us about, I'm sure. Uh, you're
Eric, yeah.
Yeah, well, not just Eric. You sent me a text message saying that you were now a scientist. Uh,
That was rephrasing because I actually turned that around, but I use science and stuff like that. Then again, probably because one of the ETs I channel is also scientist, who I never channel for this group at all, at least not yet.
I see.
It's another Taygetan. As I said, there's another sibling. Um, Eric is the oldest. There's the middle, and then there's the middle. Akaso is the middle, and there's the youngest one that I have not channeled yet. Well, at least for this group, I
Okay, we're
channeled
waiting,
for another group.
Travis.
What?
We're waiting for Ray. He's going to get back in a few minutes, and I know that you have the most recent conversations with Ray. So I'm going to yield to Ray to introduce you formally, and uh, and then we'll move right into you and Eric, which I
Okay.
think will be an exciting. Heidi's still also missing, but in the meantime, you look good.
I was just saying the same thing, actually.
Yeah, you look really good. Yeah.
In another group, they called and they said I look like the. I'm starting to look closer to the Sasani or the precursors that walk among us, the
Well, when
ones
you
that
were,
are the hybrids.
during most of the session, you were sort of laying over there, and I could see occasionally into your frame, and I felt a big change, big transformation, basically. Of course, we all are, but and then I have to notice that you change your lighting situation, so we can see you with a lot more clarity, the
I turned.
physicality
Well,
of you.
yeah, I turned my actual room light on.
There you are. Some of the other times I don't think that you had. So it's an
Um,
observation, but.
and again, the sunlight usually does enough light to at least see. But this one, I thought.
You're I'm with Lewis. Your energy is definitely different than the last time that we interacted. And the presence that you will share with us seems to be much more in attendance than what it was when I last interacted with you. What I mean by that is that it's there now. I sense it now. I feel it and see it now.
So I'm not the only one because I already knew it was here.
And with that, we will start our second channeling session with Travis Perry bringing forth Eric of the Taygetans. And he has a whole host of beings which he is currently channeling now. And we are confident that it may not stop there, but we appreciate him bringing forth what he has indicated is an important message from Eric. And we will let Travis talk more about who he is going to thrill us with tonight. And thank you all for coming and for Travis for being an integral part of High Vibe Channeling.
Now, if you notice that the name of the name came from Pleiadian to Taygetan to symbolize where their group of Pleiadians are exactly from, because their race in particular will be the first ones that we have physical contact with, because they're one of the closest Pleiadian races to us. Taygetans. As people have talked all about Taygetans, have contact. I believe the Taygetans have made plenty of physical contact through other contactees. So the channel them definitely is something. Also, the reason I can do this is because I mostly communicate with them through a telepathic setting. So in a way, the energy that Chuck was feeling was more of the energy of them specifically, basically able to plus this also is going to be one of the newer ways. It makes it easier to bring him through instead of having to get in that state. I was priming myself before I start, so it'll be easier for him to come through.
Cool. So it is more fluid. So whatever you're doing is working, Travis. How much time do you think you might need to bring Eric in? Is it going to be pretty rapid?
Well, I believe
Well,
it will be faster than it was before.
okay. Well, whenever you're ready. And thank you very much for that lead in and for providing all the information from today.
You're welcome. Hello. I would like to share a contact message for a second. As there is approaching the window of 2027, physical contact with our race is being approached as we are preparing ourselves for the inevitable arrival of our civilization to your world. I would say to those that the excitement of the idea of meeting us is still there. It's just that some people get a little too obsessed with the meaning of our arrival when knowing that it's going to happen, but also feeling it within your very being is one aspect of that situation. We would like to thank you for welcoming us to your world, for we have made contact with you for thousands upon maybe thousands, millions of years, perhaps, depending on your perception of time. So we like to say that it's our pleasure and our joy, and we will be doing telepathic greetings, and there will be more telepathic messages when it gets closer, so you will know locations to be at for direct physical contact with our species. So we thank you, and now we open up to questions and answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric, for bringing your energy and for providing this opportunity for us to learn more about ourselves through you. Your statement about interacting with thousands and thousands of years with changed the question I was going to ask. Can you tell us of any other interactions any of us in this physical form may have had with you in any other lives on the Earth Collective timeline, so to speak?
There's been interactions with those in what you would call Atlantis. There's interactions in a lot of Native American tribes, specifically certain ones that are resonant with our particular Pleiades, the Pleiadian energy, as those particular ones that resonate with the particular star of Taygeta. There's also been many others that span certain eras. Mostly those fictional godlike eras that you have called. Some of the races were actually us, besides the fact that there was the Anunnaki, there was also a little bit of us, but that was a little bit sprinkled in. So, does this answer your question?
Yes, it does. I find that very interesting, especially the part about certain galactic or certain native tribes which vibrated closer to your resonance. That leads a follow-up question. Which particular Native American tribes resonated with which particular galactic races? If you can enlighten us, please.
What we're getting for our race particularly is Cherokee, but that's besides. For other races, Apache, there's Cherokee, there's is resonant with Pleiadian energy. There are particular tribes, some are not in the channel's memory banks, but particular tribes that are resonant with Sirius energy. There's particular tribes that are resonant as could say the Dogon tribe is resonant with Sirius, but that's another story altogether. But that's what we say as seers.
I appreciate you bringing that through. Thank you very much. Christina?
Greetings and thank you for the co-creation.
We're very thankful for interacting with your species at this time.
You mentioned ancient gods as well, and I was wondering what your relationship was with ancient Greece, and if there's any relation to the 12 gods of Olymp.
Those ones in particular were mostly certain other particular races. Maybe some of them were based on the Anunnaki, but there are particular. I could specifically say that there are particular resonance to certain gods in there, depending on. But for most part, they seem to be resonant with the Anunnaki's energy.
Thank you. Yes, that would explain all the fighting they had between them and whatnot.
Yes, if you would like to, for us, we would be more interacted with the Norse mythology, Nordic style. For those were mostly Pleiadians in that sense for the Nordics races, and there were connection to we can't find the Vikings specifically.
Thank you.
Hello, Eric. It's Heidi. I had a question about the type. You mentioned two types of contact: telepathic and physical locations for contact. And I was wondering, thinking about the past with the Native Americans or the Nordic races, what types of contact did you have? What would that have looked like? Was it more telepathic or was it more
It was. It
sense?
was. Sorry, my apologies. It was both. We
So,
had
oh, go ahead.
we had both telepathic and physical contact because because those tribes were actually welcoming to us, and they were actually able to tap into our energy and tell us where and when to land. So both.
And were these interactions what did you do during these interactions, or what did you want to accomplish?
We were interacting with them as more of a co-creative process for they were looking more for certain aspects to help assist their particular tribe with maybe adopting particular medicines and other stuff. We basically help them with we help them in a knowledge base and to connect more deeply with the idea of spirit. Need more explanation?
No, that was wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Hi, Eric. Going back to the Native Americans, Acoma City, Sky City, they have a very long tradition of being in contact with extraterrestrials that withstands to this day. And in the near areas in New Mexico, particularly, I have been in places like Chaco Canyon where the rocks say that the ETs, from that perspective that we use the name, used to walk there physically. The great shamans of the Acoma say the same thing. And it is believed that they continue to do that today in less physical sense, in etheric sense, but they're still there. They still are part of some their rituals and the secretness of Acoma City that actually embed codes that were given to them a long time ago. Can you comment on that?
There are different aspects of extraterrestrial civilizations that still have walked among. Most of the time now, it's behind the scenes, but when it comes to that particular idea, yes, energetically races of our kind and those like us still have that energetic resonance in the certain areas. So there are physical, and when you're ready, they will rematerialize themselves so that you can actually see them physically after open contact.
In those areas in particular?
Yes.
Broadly, but in those areas for sure, because to speak of, they have maintained a contact since those ancient times. It really precedes all the currently known tribal peoples of those areas. It goes back to the Pueblans. It goes back to the Anasazi and the pre-Anasazi. Is that correct? I think so.
Yes, and there's still contact. May not be more physicalized, but it is telepathic or telepathic. So there's still communication between extraterrestrial races.
The kivas that exist currently in Chaco Canyon seem to be directed to particular star systems, some known and some unknown. And my feeling is that people used to gather in the kivas, and a kiva is really something that looks like a satellite dish built in the ground. Was that one of the primary purposes of those kivas at that time? To communicate with specific star systems?
There's particular way of using certain shapes that actually similar to what you call that satellite for a more frequency that pick up on particular energies of different star systems, yes.
For communication and for healing. And it's a two-way street. In other words, for communication, you're sending, directing, but you're also receiving information and you're receiving energy, intelligent energy that was used for healing purposes.
Yes. There's a lot more to go into that, but you're on the right track.
So My final part of the question is in the current now and what is soon to happen. How will your race assist humanity physically, mentally, spiritually, energetically? What is part of the current plan?
Our assistance will be more direct, as in it will be, we will assist you in altering the course of civilization as you know it today. So yes, we will be having a startup where we will be dispensing ideas directly, since for us we need to see there needs to be a more direct change in order for the civilization to start moving more rapidly. For there is still assistance that needs to be, but the assistance is going to have to be more in a physical sense.
And way beyond just the scientific. Is that correct?
Yes.
Good. Thank you for that information. I yield to Lynette, I think.
Okay. Hello. You saw my question?
Yes.
No, I just thought it was such a coincidence that we're going crazy here in the United States. We've got to be karmic. And I'm wondering if it has to do with going into Pleiadian space and what happened on the Trail of Tears and the Cherokee and all that. And other indigenous tribes, people.
Asking about what happens?
Well, more like what's happening now in the United States, since we moved into Pleiadian space and we're getting tons of messages from Pleiadians for me suddenly because I've been working with the Anunnaki. So I'm just wondering if it's more than coincidence that if we're like working through our history as a country, in particular with regard to the Cherokee and what happened.
There are those. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. That's all right. There are those of us that are working, assisting certain aspects of the U.S., and then there are others that are assisting other countries in particular. You want to know what happens to those tribes, right?
Well, I know what happened to the tribes, but are we still responsible for it? And are we, working that out in all the chaos that we're going through?
It's more of rejuvenation and acceptance and forgiveness, as in to come to terms with the aspect of those tribes is to also come to terms with yourself and to forgive yourself, even if it was indirect. For there is no need to be a more apologetic about it, for they are aware of what needs to be done, even in spirit. So,
Well, Barbara Marciniak was channeling a Pleiadian for many years. He told us that there was a negative reality outside of the Pleiadian space as a result of what happened with the Cherokee. Is that still an issue for the Pleiadians?
There's still both positive and negative. There are particular realities that are outside, but most of the realities that are outside are not really relevant to us at this moment. And from what we see, the realities will only affect those that choose to let it affect them.
Okay. So are we going back to like a period of when Lemuria was started by the Pleiadians? Are we going into a golden age, or is that far in the distance?
It'll be a mixture of the Lumerians loving, and this also is a rise of the Atlantean style, where it's going to be a rebirth instead of the fall of Atlantis. It'll be a rebirth where you will be where the mainly the American style United States will become that new version of Atlantis. But yes, it will be a rebirth of the old civilizations that fell.
Okay, great. Sounds exciting. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. I enjoyed that. I have a question. It was brought to my attention today, or I should say, I brought it to my attention today, that there are non-physical beings. Well, let me backtrack a little bit. That when we have interactions with entities who are off-world, we will say, when they notice that there's something in our biology or our energy or our torus field that is off or could use a little tweaking, that they will help us out and do those kind of little maintenance things for us. And that I know that I personally have had my biology adjusted, I don't know how many hundreds of times for various things to enable my channeling and allow me to handle more energies. And as more different energetic beings, I will say, desire to have or be included in my physical experiences for their own particular reasons. But I understood today that there are beings who alter humans in ways which are for their own purposes and not necessarily for the benefit of the human beings. So I had questions about that. If you could comment on that and maybe any of those beings, or probably not comment on any names or whatever. We don't need anything to associate with us label conscious humans, but on that particular process or whatever, please. And thank you for being a resource that I can actually ask that question to. Thank you.
Yes, for that particular question, has a lot of detail in it, and we'll answer as best as we can with the channel's knowledge, as well as with our own knowledge mixed in with it in a slight bit of way, for the channel only can translate the words he understands. But yes, there are particular energies that may be associated with that. Some energies are from the past, considering there was a lot of negativity, mostly during the Orion times. And there are the adjustments of with Arcturus energy and human energy is always a thing ongoing, but also happens with other civilizations. For there are those that have a more healing chambers like we do, in some sense, where we use light to heal the besides the energetic and soul level body. So those particular energies that are negative are being worked through, and they seem more intrusive, but they're also seeming to be more of energies that you're letting go as well. How much do you need us to expand on this?
Oh, whatever you want to tell us. I found that fascinating about the using the light chambers to heal various portions of our beings. That's
It also works on a physical level too. It also can work on a physical level. We do have technology that actually generates light, that actually can repair damaged cells in the body.
Do you take requests?
I mean, we'll probably be sharing some different technologies after open contact, so be patient.
I will certainly do that, and I hope that one day that Eric, I get to shake your hand. So anyway, energy and blessings to you, and thank you again for bringing forth that answer for me. And now Luis has another question for you.
Thank you, Eric. From your perspective, you spoke of, or Ray spoke of biological adjustments, which was in response to the healings. These biological adjustments that are happening in star seeds and hybrid humans seem to be, or I propose that they seem to be for the purpose of activating the heart center of the human to take its preeminence position, and then establish an appropriate mind heart coherence, rather than just talking about genetic aspects. So that's kind of the number one criteria, and whatever genetics have to support that is what happens, or certainly to increase our psychic skills or our ability to connect to the multidimensional, which will come naturally, I think, as a result of the heart.
If you just let it happen.
If you just let it happen. So could you add to that perspective, and what kinds of, how do we navigate those kinds of things here from our little humanness? How do we do that a little better, basically?
Open up
Anyway.
to the idea of the imagination. There is particular, but yeah, the basis of it is opening up to the imagination will allow you to open up the doorways to different styles and learning the different ways of navigating these different techniques as well.
Thank you. Appreciate all you have done tonight for us. Terrific. Thank you so much, Eric.
Yeah, that was great information. We really appreciate that. And do you have any, we don't seem to have any more questions popping up. Do you have any other messages for us, Eric? Because I've really enjoyed everything that we've received so far. So anything else you have to add would be icing on a bigger cake.
The arrival of us to your reality will be physical, but the beginning stages will be more on a telepathic scale. So it'll be like a preview before the main event once it gets closer. So we thank you and look forward to the cosmic contact that we will share with you.
Do you have time for one more question? Or is it?
One more question depending on, but sure. Who's the question from?
Lynette, who asked the previous question about the Cherokee and Trail of Tears.
Sorry, I'm talking away to you and I don't have the mute off. I don't want to impose. If you're out of time, that's fine. Because
Go
these
for
are
it.
long questions, so you don't have to answer. I
We're
just wrote
willing
them
to accept
down.
the question.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Well, do you answer questions of a personal nature? I have been in contact with the goddess Meta of Orion, but at the same time, I've had encounters with Pleiadians. Now, I've been told I'm a Pleiadian or I'm a Orion. Can you, is that something you're both or one or the other?
The Pleiadians, the goddess what?
Meta?
Theta?
Meta, M-E-T-A, of Orion.
Neta, Neta of Orion. Definitely a very gracious energy.
Thank you.
Yes.
I've heard that about her.
Yeah, the connection is there in particular for the energy is usually linked with a more aspect of the idea of the transformation into the light.
I'm sure I understand that. Transformation into the light? You mean meta to a human or a human to the goddess?
No, the energy itself is that's what it symbolizes.
Oh, okay.
But yes, the connection with the humans is the same thing. The humans will, because the humans are in that transformational age where they're transforming from the dark to the light.
Uh-huh.
So it's connected. It's a very strong energetic connection that people can use to help them transform the darkness to the reality that they prefer.
Okay.
Need what was the phrasing of your question, or was any of that useful at all?
No, you answered the question that meta is an energy helping us transform from the darkness to the light, right? And we're all able to access. We're not all, but whoever intends or if there is a connection. That's fabulous. So, what about my connection to the Pleiades? I met a Pleiadian and we seem to have the same energy. We merge.
Yes.
I do have a connection to the Pleiades as well and Lemuria.
Yes, for Lemuria, and the connection to Lemuria also connects to that Pleiades. So,
Right.
in that sense, the connection to Lemuria connects to the Pleiades, and the fact that there's been a more equal footing. That connection to Lemuria met a Pleiadian. That's why there's a connection there.
Thank you.
Excellent. And thank you, Eric, for bringing forth such detailed information and such high vibrational energy to us tonight, and Lynette for asking those questions as well. And just to let everybody else know, Eric will be back for high vibe channeling on Thursday, June 19th as well. And thank you all
Well,
so much for
that
this interaction.
that specifically might actually be something different if you would like Trav the introduction of another particular being would like to be done, and that's why he was trying to open up the idea for that. But sure.
Excellent. We will look forward to whoever the ever expanding Travis decides to bring forward to us on that particular day. I have it scheduled as to be determined, and we will look forward to the best co-creation that we can bring forth. And again, thank you all for coming, and Eric for taking the time to give us such insight and detailed answers to everyone's questions. And we that's all pretty much we have, unless you have anything else for us.
No, we're all set for. We did give the message prior to the last question.
Thank you. Love you.
We thank you, Toeo, to you all.
Taleo.
Okay, that was the longest session.
Yeah, I think that might be your best ever so far, Travis. I mean, it was loud, it was clear, it was detailed.
Yeah,
You rocked it, dude.
the individual being he's talking about what is his youngest sister, which is the one I want, which is the one that hasn't made her debut publicly. I
Oh,
was thinking I was trying to figure out when to make her debut public, but I just did not know when.
cool. So
He,
thanks for giving us that little teaser. So now we have to come back. We got the little vocal movie trailer, so now we have to come back and see who Eric's sister is. Dun dun
yes,
dun.
the youngest one actually is who actually is a Pleiadian scientist will that will help prepare you. That will be that unique form of science that mixes science and spirituality together. So because they have a more evolved version of what we would call science in that sense.
So an enhanced heart mind spirit coherence.
Yeah, she also likes to use the word neurological for the neurological connects through all layers of the body, including the non-physical. So both physical and non-physical, the neurological. It's it's one of the scientific words she uses, but she expands on what it means.
Ah, I will have to implant that word neurological in my memory.
that's that's probably gonna be one you're gonna have to put in a journal or something like that. Look, so you can actually remember it because it's a little mouthful to say.
So how do you feel after bringing Eric forth for such an energetic time?
That was probably the most expansive session they had since coming out with the details of now there's more detail of their specific race, and the Taygetans are actually a very, very common Pleiadian race that people have spoken of. I mean, people can look up Taygetan and they'll easily be able to find other people that had physical contact with Taygeta.
Cool.
Like the being named Swaru, which is also of planet Era, which is Taygeta. So in the Taygeta system.
Cool. I think Chuck has something to add to our co-creation this evening.
I love when you do that. So, Eric, for me, it's very cool to watch your speech patterns change so dramatically when the energy that you're collaborating with begins to move much more into the forefront of your expression. Um, it's interesting too because the first time that I had an experience with you, I had paid attention to something that changes within myself as I shift the energy that I'm expressing. And because I paid attention to that, it keyed me in to being aware of your expression as you were doing the same thing. And so it became easy for me to feel the moment that that transition for you became fuller. And then I also experienced that energetically different as well, which I did this time also. So I like being able to observe your process in that regard.
Well said, Chuck. Thank you.
Yeah, I quite have found ways to tap into the more telepathic through the idea of visualizing them energetically, visualizing them through a physical sense. When I visualize them physically, it also allows me to also I give permission to feel their energy as well. So now it now evolved over time because my channeling has more of a visualization, and now I can actually see them in great detail and also feel their presence within me as well.
That's cool.
And thanks for that detail as well, Travis. We're just it's nice to get the little backstory since we just see the increase in all of these different what I will call spiritual metrics, and to hear the backstory on how that's happening for you.
Yeah, he's inside his ship that's he does have exploration time, but mostly stays around the area of Mount Shasta, but then he goes around other areas as well from time to time. He's likes to he moves around his ship a lot. I Now there might be some instances where people have seen his ship through physically or something. There there's many many of Taygetans interacting with our planet for their connection is specifically the ones that are the closest to us that will be the ones that will make first physical contact on Earth when open contact happens.
I wonder if there's going to be a market for travel logs from aliens so we can get in their ships and they'll say, and we're going to take you to all of these destinations. And then they take us to places where we're not physically able to go to. So we can watch coming soon to PBS.
I was hoping to be able to go to because of my right now my travel situation where I can't go any farther from my state. It would be easier to go to anywhere in a ship that I normally can't go to at the moment.
Now, that
Just
brought up my
just
little,
catch every ride that you can catch, okay?
yeah,
Don't
that,
miss the opportunity.
In
Yeah.
my little bit of morbid curiosity, I was wondering how a court-ordered electronic monitoring bracelet would work on on an ET craft. Sorry, yeah, we went to a far star 100 billion light years away, but did I violate not leaving the state?
Yeah. I can't help but make the comment that the circumstances that you find yourself in are the right circumstances for you to make the kind of contacts that you're making. And I
Well,
remember, I
Mhm.
remember just about a week or week and a half ago that we had some exchanges over Messenger, and you were having what should we call it? A moment of readjustment, basically. And I am very happy to report that as I see you, you did that well, very well.
yes, well, I'm I'm still planning on going to going to there going to therapy tomorrow for I am getting a ride on a scheduled bus or something like that for because I still have the more adjustments that needs to be done with me. And usually when it comes to using therapists there it's easier to have a professional to assist me with that.
Sure.
So I
Cool.
will still be getting adjustments even though I seem fine right now. There are adjustments I have made just for today so people can at least get the best channeling experience.
You
Well,
did
whatever
very
you're
well
doing,
with
it
that.
worked.
You did really well with that. We
Yes.
thank you, Travis.
And thank you all for coming. I know that it has been another energetic evening, and I myself have a rare opportunity that I'm going to take advantage of. So I am going to leave you. The host, Luis, can direct any further discussion. But oh my gosh, this is
Wait a
awesome.
minute, Ray. We have a contract here. It
Ah,
says you need to have another hour.
what? No.
That's okay. You know
Not
what
that
I
I'm not helpful, not that I'm not
no,
worthy of that, and not that I'm not willing, but yeah,
no,
sorry.
it's a joke. I mean,
Yep, I
we love
obviously.
you. We thank you, and go about and do that which you need to or should be doing.
Will do. And I'm just going to leave my recording going, and whenever you close out the meeting, then
That's
it'll
right.
be done
Yeah,
and I can
you
catch up.
absolutely,
Yeah, I'll
absolutely.
just take it to the spot where I missed, so
Yeah,
I can hear all the stuff you guys said about me.
that's right. Okay, wait a minute. Let me write some of that down so I can.
Thank you all.
Bye bye, Ray. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Ray.
Uh,
Have a good time.
Open the mics, everybody, just for whatever amount of time we're going to be here. It's a free for all, so to speak. And the night has been full of beautiful things, deep things, very deep. And Christina, how how did you take it tonight?
It
And
was
what
wonderful.
and what good comment can you give to about anything? What tell us.
Well,
We want to
for
hear your.
me, I am very happy to be here, like to be in this group. It's very exciting for me. So, generally, out of principle, I like to be open and take experiences as they come and just enjoy what comes my way. For open contact, because it's a bit contradictive. Like there's a lot of talk, but at the end of the day, it is important to live and enjoy the moment, and that will actually speed up the process. No, Bashar has mentioned this before. So the more you act
Well,
every minute on your excitement, then this ironically will speed up the whole.
Eric has said that has mentioned to don't he's mentioned I believe today to don't
Hmm.
obsess about it and know that it's going to happen.
Yes.
That's a good thing. Uh,
Yeah, don't
It's like
obsess about it.
anything that you bring into manifestation in your reality, you first have to vibrationally bring it in, and you have to be there. And so this is not any different than anything that we have experienced throughout our lifetimes. And you can enjoy exactly what that is for you, right now, you know,
Yeah,
you know.
I had dreamed, and there's going to be Bashar is going to be on the Daryl Anka himself. Daryl Anka himself is going to be on the Heart Coherence podcast.
Yeah, I saw that. He already has.
Yes, he already
He
has,
already has just this
but
week. I think well, at least they,
it's going to premiere tomorrow.
well, another episode, I guess. Yeah, but they published one like a week ago, basically. And
Yeah, well, this one is apparently says that says Bashar broke protocol. Apparently, something about him somehow Daryl got 17 months worth of transmissions download
mhm.
for
Okay.
future reference. That'll be interesting to hear about because it definitely means that something is obviously happening.
Sure.
And
Do you follow any other particular channelers at this point?
any
Yeah,
channelers?
were there friends or known channelers, besides Bashar?
I'm friends with Rob Gauthier, who channels Treb, Ardif, and stuff like that. I'm friends with Sean Flanson, who channels Aishu of the IL.
I see. And they have the YouTube presence?
They're very, they're very, they're. Rob Gauthier has a YouTube presence. He is ET Whisperer.
I see. Interesting. Now, you
Yeah,
told us one time that you have been a gamer. I remember that from your very first interaction with us.
yeah.
You
I'm
continue to be a
still.
gamer?
What?
You continue doing, gaming?
Yes,
Yeah.
I still do gaming. I still do gaming from time to time. I mean, tomorrow I'm gonna be my friend is gonna be doing it on his own. Well, but we're gonna be talking together, so we're gonna be assisting each other. But we're gonna be playing a Star Wars game tomorrow.
I see. Would you say that gaming is another way of getting in touch with not just other realms, whether they're constructed by other humans or not? That's a question mark. But it's
Well,
also a way of getting in touch with your imagination.
Well, all those creations in video games, especially those sci-fi creations, are actually imaginative. So basically, they're already in touch with their imagination from that. And yes, it can assist you because then you can create your own version of what you want to in that way what you want to experience or something like that.
Yeah, I that's what I feel too. Thank you.
Uh, yeah, I played. Actually, video games is what got me into UT, so it started. So obviously, assisted me in ways that Probably wouldn't have. Then again, I don't know if I would have got the channeling. Ended up getting into it because of ETs. So probably why I mostly channel extraterrestrials. But that's probably part of my excitement was ETs and stuff like that because of me getting into that.
Yeah, what I see in general, from every perspective that I seem to tune into, it's nearly the same thing. It's all part of the process of moving more into a unified self, from whatever angles we can open our awareness to. So
Okay.
I don't do gaming, but I have gamers around me too, and I can feel that is really a major opportunity for opening to many other things, and there's so many other ways that we can get in touch with our self,
There's.
the big self, the big I.
I'm always familiar with the when it comes to the Arcturian style stuff. I got into that's what actually started Arcturian, Edgar Casey and stuff like that. It's what got me into the channeling. Also, what led me to Bashar.
Arcturians.
Yes,
Arcturians, Arcturians have been present in my life for a long time, and they came essentially as I was in a period in which I was actually doing healing work in a metaphysical center. So I would have these sessions, and they basically, I didn't do anything. It's just those energies coming through me, and they directed the whole thing. I just felt it was Arcturians. And I guess those kind of names don't show up in your mindset unless.
well, I looked up. I found out about Arcturians, Edgar Casey, and stuff like that, and then I was like, and I eventually stumbled upon Bashar. I can't remember when, but I stumbled upon Arcturians, and and stuff like that. The information. So Arcturians are one of the first ETs that I have stumbled upon, and then I went on from there. I created a background story featuring Pleiadian and used my imagination before when I was in high school.
I see.
Yeah. When I
You
was
should feel really good because tonight you did a phenomenal job of bringing Eric with great clarity. I think Chuck is the one that said something along the lines that it came through and overrode your normal languaging with ease. There was no trepidation or anything like that. It was fluent. It was very
Yeah.
fluent, and the information given was profound, and it showed an element of accuracy that was uncanny from my perspective. Anyway, Heidi, good to see you. You had a busy Sunday, as always. I think.
Yeah, I wanted to also just say that I really appreciated Eric's answer about the tribes who've been hurt, and the answer about rejuvenation and forgiveness, and there was one other word too. That just really resonated with me, and I loved that moving forward. So that, yeah, I just wanted to say that I very much appreciated hearing that. But yeah, it's been a lovely Sunday.
Anything that you have to say, Heidi, we're open to it. And if you want to add something different to the tone of the conversation, please do so. I know you had a long day. I can feel that. But things continue to hum for Heidi.
Yeah, I've been I went to, or I attended a couple of satsangs today and one yesterday, so it has been kind of a busy weekend, and it's very very beautiful experience, especially yesterday. And that's all what got me thinking about,
sure.
so I didn't get a chance to tell Chuck this, but I appreciated that answer as well. So there's definitely a lot of reaching out happening. There's a lot of I'm hearing a lot of of similar advice from so many different sources, and most of them are all focusing on earth and nature and trees and rocks and all of that. And so it's really just we are being prepared in so many ways for
Yeah.
humankind to progress and move forward. So
All ways that open the heart are appropriate.
yeah,
And
yes,
that's the center of transformation of everything that you are part of.
At least we have a basis on the Pleiadian race that will be coming first, or something like that.
Sure. Which is, I think, something that people have been, I guess in the last year, there's been a little bit of give and take. Who is going to be first?
Well, the ones that people call the Nordics were actually Taygetan in a sense that way, because they're one of the most human-looking of the Pleiadian races, and they're also the one mostly connected to us.
Sure. It makes good sense that they'll be the ones that look the most like us, because we have a tendency to reject uh, that is dissimilar to us.
Yeah,
Does
I
not
mean,
get
there's
immediate acceptance. Let's put it that way.
yeah,
Of course, when you actually see a being that shows up that has distinct craft, for example, and demeanor that is rather from another world, you kind of start paying attention, or you should. But the old storylines of the war between worlds and all that kind of stuff, there'll be people that play that tune for sure. We have to lessen that as much as possible. So
oh,
anybody? Yeah,
that reminded me another thing that Eric said, that these storylines matter to those who pay attention to them, and they won't matter to those who don't pay attention to them. So I thought that was, I don't know if I'm saying that, capturing the meaning exactly, but
probably as close as you can, probably the closest you can capture, because even I'm gonna have to watch the recording in order to capture that, and have the recording of me, because this one will actually be perfect for my channel. At least the one with me channeling, because that'll be definitely perfect, because people will at least get more content, because there'll be a lot of information coming from the one video, if and when it gets uploaded.
sure.
yeah.
It will be uploaded for you, and
Yeah,
you get the files, and you can manipulate them any way you want.
yeah,
Basically,
I yeah, that's this is the and the idea of, I mean, I only brought through him and his middle sister Akasa, but I never brought through his younger sister publicly.
so that's coming soon on the 19th, maybe.
Yeah, that was his younger sister is a scientist for what we would call a scientist. So the there's different aspects. And again, Akasa is the one that specializes in language, and Eric definitely does a lot of the idea of contact when it comes to certain aspects. The idea of contact. So Cheryl will be the more of the science expert. So there, yeah.
You also had a Sasha, right? On a prior Pleiadian channeling.
No, that's Tasha.
Oh,
Tasha,
Tasha. Okay, Tasha.
and she's not Palladian. She's Yael.
Yeah, yeah. That's right. That's right. Okay. So you've been channeling her too?
I channel her from time to time. I have made note and I've pinned a post on my Facebook, so it's always going to be there of the different. Let me see if I yeah, pinned post feature. I can add pictures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also I also have channeled this Asani before.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
And
Asani before.
what's his name?
Zal.
Saul. Okay.
Zal. It's spelled XAL.
Travis, when did you started doing the channelings?
2023.
About what? August of 2023, mid-year?
Around August. Actually, no, it was actually no. I think it was around June or July.
Okay. And what technique did you use initially to bring about that contact?
Visualizing them connecting. I can visualize. I still use visualization, but I visualize them more of a direct connection to the heart. I used direct connection to the heart, and I went down to the earth core, brought it up, then it
Mhm.
went all the way up,
And
and
when you do
literally,
that,
I
you are
used
your
my
position is
mind.
sitting. Are you sitting when you do that, or are you
I'm
laying?
sitting,
You're
yes,
sitting. And you're
and
using, how are you using your hands?
and my hands.
Yeah. You
Can't
place it,
can't.
do you have movement?
Hmm. Actually, there were times where I put my hands on my chest for my heart,
Mm-hmm.
where my heart is. But I have, but when I connect, I usually visualize through the heart. After I do the earth, I send it up to space, but I also visualize where their ship is located, and I go inside the ship. So I actually have visualized the inside of their ships before.
Have you done any renderings of some of those ships, the interior of them? Because you do use
I
you get
used
some
I
AI
used
generated
AI
things.
art, and it's harder to do AI art when it comes to getting it exactly the way I see it.
Mm-hmm.
For I have not seen, for I have seen the inside of Eric's craft more detailed than where his sisters are.
Okay.
So
So let's pause it there for a second. Uh, can you now take one ship experience in which you can describe in your words what you saw?
wow.
If it's possible. Don't push anything.
Well, I'll just bring up the one from when I started with Tasha because that was the one I had easier visualizing back then, even though she was not the original first one I channeled.
Sure.
The visualization was easier for Yael at that time. The inside of the ship actually had the a community line like across the street. There were these structures for the where their living quarters or something like that, like buildings. And across there, there's like across the street, there's a park like area with with nature and trees and stuff like that. So they're very close to their nature, even there.
In one of our channelings by Patrick, he went to the Phoenix Light ship, and he described it as essentially when you're inside, you feel like you're in an infinite space, and it has rooms, and you go into different rooms, and every room is extremely expansive. You know, some of them lead you into nature at large. Some of them lead you into temples. Some of them lead you into massive healing halls. Uh, some of them are living quarters, you know. I mean, and this, you know, this is really a ship, okay? Now, I don't know that the external dimensions of it really matter, but when you are inside, that's the way that it is, okay? Uh, so would you equate it to something like that? Your experience with Tasha on that ship?
Similar.
Similar? Okay.
Might have been there. It's very, very different, as in like you're on another world, but in a different way. So it's like that in a way. So in a way, it might have been in a way that was the only place I saw on the ship. So maybe that was in another location entirely on the ship, and I was only seeing part of it.
Yeah, probably. And maybe the exact location where you were found yourself at was in some way shaped into something that you could relate to. Is that
Oh,
possible?
actually, now speaking of it, from what I imagined, that actually does make sense for their for their ships have alternate dimensional frequency of realities that they can go into that can look less similar to what Earth's life looks like.
Okay. It's a very complex thing, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Thank you for giving me a good perspective there.
the Palladians would probably be more simplistic because Palladians uh, actually have a structure inside that they actually have structure to their craft where it's not where it's more easier for us to comprehend.
Sure. You know,
But
I have had experience with spaceships in the middle of the day in the center of a city where I was the only one that could see it, really, honestly. You know, there are other people that, you know, they were looking at me. What is he looking at? The middle of the day, you know, around a golf course, you know, where they had a jogging trail, and there's people, this is in the downtown section of the city. There's people there that are just jogging and then go back to work, you know. Uh, and so
my
people
mom,
would pass me by, and I would see that. And I always have this idea that that experience was very exclusively for me because I have been using spaceships for purposes, and I felt I was, and I asked for a confirmation. And what comes back, you know, I don't know how many days went by, is that, you know, in the middle of the day, I something tells me, look up. So I look up, you know, and I said, wait a minute, in between clouds here and there, I said, man, I see that. Let me see. That is really what it is. I should be able to, so the next cloud opening, I should be able to see that. Yes, it is. And I went, and the thing was not that small.
my mom's
But
side.
I always have this thing in my, were they just materializing that way? That wasn't necessarily the real shape of the ship, but it was something that was more in alignment with, you know, like Third Encounters of the movie by Spielberg. You know, it was actually a ship that looked somewhat like that, you know, and it was, what should we say? They were materializing partially, so it was opaque, but I could see the lights. I could see the lights, you know, different color lights, and in the experience, you know, remain with me because not only was the ship visible, it was visible over the part of the city where I had asked them to do a certain project. Okay, and And that was like, to me, it was like, I don't, and things happen afterwards. It took a little while for all of that, that was the project at hand
My
to,
mom saw you. My mom saw a UFO before when she was working during van pool. She was with her driver and only her driver and her side. I used to have a little drawing of it, but I don't have that anymore. I lost it.
I'd say.
But I probably lost it for a reason. Probably didn't need it anymore. But my mom told me about what she saw. It was like triangular shape hovering above in elementary school.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So by that nature of that, it could be a Syrian chip, or maybe Arturian, perhaps. The triangular
triangular
shapes tend to be.
triangular shapes are connected to that, and there's also other connections to the triangular shapes. For any race can use that triangular shape for reasons unknown. Because if you see, there's the hybrids have triangular shaped ships.
Yeah,
They do. I mean,
sure.
if you see what Bashar described what his ship looked like.
Triangular.
Yeah, so in a way, Bashar also says that different Pleiadians have triangular ships. So he mentioned that in the transmission. Yeah,
I have seen in dream states cigar looking kind of ships.
I see a triangular ship in a dream state. Although it looked like it was missing pieces, but I was able to touch it before I woke up.
What was the feeling?
Don't know. I just touched it. That was the wake up call. Touching it was the wake up
I'd
call.
say. So what
And
about
maybe
you,
it was telling me to wake
Christiana?
up.
Have you seen any kind of ships or anything like it?
Loads.
Okay,
I also had a sighting in the middle of the day, just down the street.
I see.
But most of them I see at night, like all the wandering stars.
Well, yeah, I have quite a few experiences with that. In New Mexico, we used to have a lot of meteor showers, supposedly, and they behave in on meteor like ways. If you just, I used to live by the foothills of a mountain overlooking a city. And so I was just a little bit outside of the edge of the last set of housing in the city. So I could sit in a trail that would go much higher into that mountain at nighttime. Uh, and there was a little bench that I could sit and look. And I used to stargaze there. And I saw some incredible things. And then I telepathically communicated, oh, you're not a this. You need to show me what you are. They show me.
Someone told me that they had a dream, but it was different because it actually involved me in it, and I was talking with Eric.
In their dream. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting. They told me that. I was just wanted to bring that
So
up.
so it's sort of like you astrally travel to be with your friend, and Eric also was there etherically, or whatever you want to call it. So
That was probably from another level because I don't remember that myself. But she probably saw it. She probably was got to
y-
see it. She got to see me talking to Eric. Maybe I was there. Maybe on another level that I don't remember.
yeah, sure, of course. I will tell you this. There's people that have reported that I have shown up in their dreams many times over the years. I personally don't have that recollection. But I have had the experience in which, for example, an uncle of mine, comes into my dream state, and he is like shouting at me to, wake me up. And, I couldn't tell what was that all about. Next morning I placed a phone call to find him. And sure enough, there was a big reason why he needed to talk to me. I have those kinds of experience, but in my dream state, I heard him very clearly. I saw him, and it was just like, what do you call it? Astral travel, I guess I'll call it.
I have contact with I had contact with Akasa before, and that was one of the contacts I remember, because Akasa was one of the first ones I remember where it was like I was in a waking/sleeping state, so I was like in an altered state, and she walked into my room.
Yeah. Wow.
That was the like a direct contact, but I was stuck looking in one area. But I remember being in this room in my bed. This was this same area I was in. I was in the room I'm in now.
Yeah,
And
when I was a kid, I had a number of experiences in my bedroom in which, perhaps unfortunately, but I guess it's natural. I basically say, I don't want to know. I don't want to see. Please stop it. You know, uh, and that happened a number of times. It was just not one experience like that.
yeah, I think Eric is the only one. I think the Eric is one of the only ones that I don't have a conscious recollection of, but someone remembers it for me because they saw me talking to him. But I did have a dream with Tasha in it, though. That was one of the dreams I remember also.
So Travis, on the I think it's the 22nd, I believe, of this month, we're gonna do another channel
20.
with hybrids.
Was that what was on the schedule? I
Yes,
don't
it is
remember.
in the schedule. Okay, Patrick will be there channeling, and I forgot who else we have that day. Anyway, and I really would like you to be there. It's certainly, I can't guarantee you could channel that day, but you could very well participate in the questions and answers, and the interactions that may ensue may allow you to bring Eric or someone with it would add a dimension, I think, to the you guys are not really familiar with some of the things we've done, but we actually have done what we call a channeling panel. In other words, 6 channelers, and people address them one as you wish to somebody to direct a question to any of them, or a question at large, and I moderated it and I directed questions when people didn't know, who. And a question was answered by one channel, the one that perhaps they directed the question to. And I felt that there was somebody else there that was had valuable information, and I queried them, and they said, "Yeah, yeah, I want to say something." Talking about another channeler. It's
They're
very interesting, in the things that happen in between.
they're always the beings that I channel are always with me anyways. I can tap in. As I said, I'm telepathically connected to them, so I can speak with them when it's needed, or when I need assistance or something like that. Usually I have conversations with them as well. And I guess it's just to create bonds for preparation for physical contact.
Great. Anyway, here we are. It's a little late, I
Yeah, I
think.
know. It's
So
9:30. It's 9:34.
some people have to go to work tomorrow, and some people have maybe I don't know, an hour or two to get ready. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Uh,
I have therapy tomorrow.
I want to tell you one little thing, Travis. Whatever circumstances you have found yourself in, you're going to come out of it gloriously well. Okay.
Well, it doesn't take me that long to get out of it because usually I end up getting out of it at the same day on the same day.
Okay. That's good. That is excellent.
It's
Okay.
very fast and rapid. I think it's a more accelerated pace than I'm used to, but I managed to manage it.
Yeah. Yeah. When we talk, whatever it was, 10 days ago or something like that, you were right in the middle of something. I understand that.
Yeah, well, it happened fast. It's just that I never really communicate with people about me feeling better, even if I felt better on the
Well,
same day.
you sort of did because I think it was a day after, or maybe it was 2 days after. You did send me a message, and you said hello, and I sensed right away totally different energy in that message, and I replied, but we didn't talk in any more detail at that stage of the game.
Yeah,
And so
well,
I sense a shift. I definitely sense the shift.
I'm more of a quick talking person because there's not really, I usually say hi, but there's not really much to talk about at the moment.
Okay, I mean, obviously, when we're talking now.
Yes, well, that was only because
Yeah.
there was more to talk about in this moment
It's
than there was not.
absolutely, absolutely. And that's the truth about being in the moment, in the now. Anyway, I
Well,
thank you immensely for being here. I thank you, Christiana.
My
And
pleasure. Thank you also, both.
yeah, you're
I
welcome.
thank you all for paying close attention.
Thank you. We're trying. It's pretty serious stuff, really.
Yeah.
Much more important than all the mental games that are out there, all the storylines that feed the creations and manipulations of minds that are out of balance. Because
Someone said in the transmission before we go, they said someone says this is April. Oh, no, wait, April was saying the one that speaks with the one that works with Daryl Anka. April was saying to Bashar that this is like science fiction or something like that. And then Bashar rephrased and said, this is science fact. He said fact. He said science fact. No fiction, science fact.
yeah, and it is. That is the
So
way that it is.
enjoy that little thing because Bashar definitely rephrasing words now.
Sure. Yeah. And I'll take a look at the latest Heart Coherence. I already saw part of the one he did, I think a week or a week and a half ago.
Yeah,
And
well,
and he's a little more outspoken, or responding to questions that he used not to answer.
apparently the floodgates are opening, and he said, and this one mentions that says on thumbnail Bashar has broken protocol or something like that.
That's what they say in the. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, I guess it means that, well, from what I understand, he got 17 months worth of transmissions in one single download. So basically it was something that probably never happened.
Well,
And
and
it was
he's
probably because of contact.
sure.
That amount of time takes us exactly to the end of 26, beginning of 27, which Bashar said at the time. So
Things are going
Yeah.
to happen, and they're going to happen quicker, and there be a lot of disarray in human affairs. Very
Wow.
unpredictable, for sure, and
Yes, unpredictable,
very
but
unpredictable. It may look 1 week that the wind is in this direction at this speed, and the next day is in completely different direction at a different speed.
let's see.
So where is the boat gonna go? The sailboat. I'm making a metaphor. I don't know.
then the next week you'll be going in both directions at the same time.
Exactly, that can happen too. Or half of your boat is the wind is that way, and the other.
Yep.
Anyway,
Definitely,
good
definitely.
night, and thank you for being here tonight.
Good
Thank
night.
you also. Good night.
We love you.
Galileo.
Bye bye.